Well, hello, listeners, and welcome back to Run Brevard Running Zones podcast. We're happy to see you here on our September episode. We have a great episode lined up for you today. We are going to discuss the Tailgate 2-miler that already happened, and we're going to preview our upcoming red carpet run that has a 5K, 10K, and half marathon option. Talk about some new things in the store. And we actually have a special guest today, a returning guest, one of our favorite guests, Dr. Lauren Hodges. And last time we spoke to her, it was pre-COVID. And she had some great tips on wellness and goal setting and things along those lines. But today she's going to talk to us in a continued capacity about those things, but really as it relates to being at home, working at home, schooling your kids at home, and really just trying to not be so stressed out during this time that we're in and lessons that she's learned. So we are looking forward to that, and we'll have Lauren on in just a little bit. But in the meantime, we are here. I'm Katie Parsons, and I'm here with John Carr and Pete Vaughn, your Run Brevard hosts. So guys, I have not physically seen you in a while. So why don't we start there? Why don't we start with you, John? I know that you had a special celebration over the weekend. You want to tell us about that?
I did. I took a half day on Friday, and we drove to Jacksonville to celebrate Courtney's birthday, which was yesterday, September 13th. She just turned 30, big 3-0. So nice. She's like 4 months older than me, so I had to poke a little bit of fun at that. But overall, I still don't feel any older than when I was like in high school. So I don't know if she quite does either. But she got a couple tattoos actually. So she booked a tattoo appointment with someone she has gotten tattooed with before. And she fills up pretty quick. So Courtney booked this like months ago and said, hey, I want to go to Jacksonville for my birthday weekend. All right, let's do it then. So we took the dogs in the car, which was an experience, and they were pretty good though. They whined a little bit and squirmed around a bit, but other than that, they were pretty good dogs. And we stayed in an Airbnb with a backyard, so it wasn't too difficult for them. So we had a good time. Still not a whole lot of things to do. We ordered takeout from places, but we didn't eat anywhere or really go shopping or anything like that. But it was a nice weekend just to get away for a bit. But it rained pretty much all weekend. I don't know if it did here also, but that was my experience. How about you, Pete?
I'm guessing you didn't take the Jeep.
We did not take the Jeep. Jeep is not a highway vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, John doesn't have like small dogs. I mean, they're not enormous dogs. They're medium-sized dogs. So to put you two and the two dogs and all your stuff in your little Volkswagen, I'm sure that was a fun ride.
Yeah, they got the back seat, me and Courtney in the front seat, but they're both just trying to stick their heads into the front seat like the whole time. They each weigh about 50 pounds. Got two Australian Shepherds, and there is so much hair in my car. There is so much hair in my car right now. I went to the gym not too long ago, and it's just floating around. Like it just like floats through the air, I swear. One of my dogs is like thick double coat, and she just sheds all year, all the time. And I'm gonna have to get in there with a vacuum like today.
That'll be your second workout.
Yeah.
How about you? What have you been up to?
Oh, not too much. Just trying to survive and just working in the store. We've had a few events. Did some cross country races, and we had our tailgate that we'll talk about in a little bit. And the race, the unofficial race that I had the most fun at was Tracy's virtual Boston Marathon, which she ran from Ascension Catholic School to Sebastian Inlet last weekend. And she had various people joining along the way. John started, and there was the outside possibility that he was going to run the whole thing. And I met them at Front Street, and I ran from Front Street to Melbourne Beach, and then turned around and ran back to get my truck to join the victory parade. And I think that's when John tapped out too, was Melbourne Beach. That was what, like 9 or 10 miles?
Yeah, I think it was like 9.7 is what was on my watch, which I don't think I've run more than 2 since March or April. So it was a struggle for real.
That's pretty far. I mean, when you think of it that way, Ascension to Sebastian Inlet, it's really far.
26.2 miles.
Yeah, exactly. I watched it all on social media in my pajamas, so that was fun. And I really love seeing all the little updates along the way and cheering for her from home. Proud of her. I know that's not, the race she wanted, but she did it and all of you guys wouldn't have been in Boston. So there is that.
Sure.
There is that part.
I will say, I think it was more fun to be a part of the water stop crew than the running crew.
Oh, no doubt.
So I was happy to cut it at 9.7 and hitch a ride in a car. So
Yep.
Yeah, the water stop looked like a lot of fun.
It's a good group of friends for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what else, Pete? I think I know on Friday when I was there, I saw you wearing a very purple shirt.
Yep.
Which you had to explain to me. It was Purple Friday, which is not a thing I was aware of.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like an official thing, but it's kind of a little campaign the Ravens started a few years back, and they just want everybody to wear purple to work on Friday ahead of the game on Sunday. It feels absolutely surreal that football happened on Sunday. It was glorious for it all to return, and the Ravens pummeled Cleveland. So that was a good way to start. But it just, I was sitting there watching the games. I just can't believe it's happening. The players and all the staff, everybody really kind of bought into following all the protocols. They had like 4,000 tests league wide between staff, players, coaches, equipment, video, stadium operations. On Saturday, they did a test, I think, on Wednesday and Saturday, and they had no positive results. So everybody's doing the right things, and hopefully after this first game, people didn't go out and break protocol. But it I'm sitting there watching, and I just can't believe it's happening. And people are like, "Well, there's no fans. It doesn't feel right." And you know what? I'm all in. I'm fine. This is what we get. This is what we get.
But I would say for like the majority of people who are watching football, they're at home anyway.
Right.
Like, so I mean, I get the atmosphere being a little bit weird, but I mean, this is what you've wanted, right? You wanted to watch football, so
Right.
Rejoice, right?
Yep.
At home, exactly.
I did rejoice.
So what about you, Katie? What have you been up to?
Well, my kids are back in school, so there's that. So far, they've gone every day. They're all in Brevard Public Schools, and so they went ahead and went back in person. And we've got our whole little protocol at home, our masks and mask washing and sanitizing and washing hands when they get home and that sort of thing. It's been really interesting to see how the schools are really trying to contain everything and really limit exposure. So, for example, my third grader, when she goes out for recess, she usually would have been able to play with all the third graders. But this year, she can't. She has to stay with her class. It was a little rough, right? Because some of her friends are in other classes. But the point being, if someone did test positive, they can say, well, that person wasn't around these classes. That person was just around this class or whatever it is. They have to write down when they go to the bathroom. And so they'll check those timestamps based on people. There's just a lot of things in place that are different, but I think it's great because they're able to really narrow down who's actually at risk if there's a case. I believe at my kids' middle school, last time I checked, there were 12 kids quarantined, but only one positive case. But those were the 11 other kids they determined had been close enough to that kid that they have to stay home for 10 days. And at the elementary school where my kids are, there haven't been any yet. So we're prepared for them to come back if they need to. Pumping them full of vitamins, sending them out the door. I don't know. They're happy to be back. I mean, they're happy to see their friends and they'd rather be at school. So far, so good. So we'll see. And I had a great sports day yesterday too. And I know no one cares about baseball when it's the first Sunday of football, but the Cubs, which is why I'm wearing my Cubs tank top today, had a no-hitter, only the 16th in franchise history, Alec Mills. And actually, through social media, because I actually wasn't watching the game, I was doing some other things, saw that it was happening and turned it on, of course, and watch the rest of the game.
And you didn't jinx it.
I did. I know. I almost thought it's so funny because I'm like, wait, I was folding laundry when this started, so I should just keep folding laundry until the game's over because I'm going to shift something in the universe and it's going to be my fault. It's terrible. It's terrible being a Cubs fan. I mean, this is how you live your whole life. But it worked out despite me stopping folding my laundry long enough to turn on the TV. And so I'm excited today too because of that. But
it's a very Cubs thing to throw a no-hitter during a pandemic shortened season on the first Sunday of NFL football in the same time slot the Bears are playing in Chicago. So I think probably a lot of Chicago fans also didn't see it because the Bears were making a furious comeback in their game as well that the Lions just totally blew. So good day in Chicago yesterday for anybody that was watching.
Anything, right? Any of the things. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you guys are still doing well and healthy, and same in my house. And social distancing like this is, what we have to continue to do for now. And we'll talk a little more about that in regards to our upcoming races and events too. But since the last time we were on, we did have our tailgate 2-miler, and it was really nice. It was overcast for the event. And of course, everyone loved that finisher medal. It was a bottle opener. As well as a beautiful medal, at least the adults. The adults loved it. And there were 401 finishers at the event, and our new store staff member, Charlie Dickinson, won in 10 minutes and 18 seconds. That's pretty fast. Just a second ahead of Caitlin Donner, who came in at 10:19. And then store alumni Christian Miner was third with 10:43. Very, very fast. And Don Piercy, our store co-owner, ran the event, and he was second in his age group at 15:11. And overall, there were 213 virtual finishers as well from 6 different states, including Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, Florida, of course. So that was really, really fun. I had fun. And Pete came through for me because when I said I had no football apparel, he brought me some. So I was able to be on theme and be in costume that day. So thank you, Pete.
That's what I'm here for.
It was fun to see Don run the race because he just he gets so giddy about stuff like when he's excited, and he was just so excited to be able to run the in the race because usually everything's just so hectic on race morning that there's no chance that he'd get to do that. But because we got that rolling start, he's like, I'm gonna go run, and we're like, okay, and he did. I mean, especially with it only being a 2-mile race, it's pretty easy to squeeze in those 2 miles. So I know he had a good time, and people seem to still really enjoy those rolling starts. And that's the funny thing about the rolling start is, you're not worried about the start of the gun, but I think I cut out. I think my mic is gone.
I could hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. I just can't hear it anymore. It's all net time. So when you cross the start line, that's when it starts. And when you cross the finish, that's when it ends. So,
yeah. I think people really do like that. It seemed, and as someone who is at the start line, it's so laid back. It's not that hectic feeling. There are a lot of people, especially the fast runners, who want to crowd a little bit at the beginning, but even so, it's not too bad. And just like on the Firecracker 5K, people who hadn't done it that way before were like, wow, this was great, or I loved it, or whatever. So that's been really great that people are abiding by that and okay with that and actually enjoying it too.
Yep.
That was fun. And so our next series race, which will be next month, is my favorite, Ghostly Gecko, on October 24th. I have not heard anything in the way of costumes for themed costumes, so I might have to talk to Ann Mitchell about that here pretty soon. I have a few ideas, but I won't share at the moment. But what about you guys? Are you going to come in costume?
Keep it a surprise. We talked about doing shake and bake last year, and then some of the prices of the costumes kind of scared us away for the legit looking ones, in the hundreds for us to be Ricky and Cal. But yeah, we could rekindle that. We'll see.
We'll take a look. See if prices drop since last year.
Exactly.
Maybe we looked too late last year.
Yeah.
You should go to the Spirit Halloween over in Vieira, see what they have.
That wouldn't that even be like even better if we just found really like crappy versions of
Yes.
of Cal and Ricky. Oh my gosh.
That'd be even more funny. I think you guys should do it.
I think Anne could, I mean, rally enough that everyone just has a different like gooder like color, you know, like where you dress up, you know, like flamingos on a booze cruise and stuff like that, where,
Yep.
you know, everyone just dresses up to like the name of gooder sunglasses, and Anne could probably supply the sunglasses to go along with the costume.
You probably could.
So I'll have to mention that one to her.
Mention that to her. I like
I'm
that.
putting it on record that I volunteer for whiskey shots with Satan.
You just carry around the bottle like all night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Yes, of course.
That sounds fair enough.
I'll have to look back over some of the names. I don't know all of them, but I'll find one.
Some of them you don't want to.
Yeah, there's a few inappropriate ones that just would not.
Yeah, I'll find the ones I don't want.
Right.
And I'll say, I'm open to the rest. Just not this list right here. That would be fun. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, before we get into Halloween costumes, there's other costume opportunities with the red carpet run on October 4th. We've got a 6:30 a.m. start. You got 5K, 10K, and half options. The half being the most popular so far. It went away last year. It's back again this year, and people are ready for it. And you have the virtual option as well for each one of those three distances. Each race has a finisher medal, and we're looking forward to it. So there's still time to sign up. You can go to Red Carpet Run. Is it redcarpetrunhalf.com? Is that the website? Let's see. I think. Or you can go on Run Side Up or our calendar. You can find it there. So any certain points about red carpet, Pete, you want to highlight?
Even since we moved it to Cocoa, it kind of serves as a warm up for Space Coast Marathon weekend, which, you know, it goes north. So if people are doing the North Half Marathon, it's kind of a course preview. It's a little bit different start than the North Half Marathon and the full marathon, but it runs largely the same course. So logistically with us and with Cocoa and Brevard County, it's a warm up for us as well as the runners. So this year, even more so, as we'll be kind of trying out all of our different protocols that we're looking at for Space Coast weekend. We'll be trying them out in October with red carpet, with kind of the social distancing and all the other safety protocols that we've been using in our other races, other smaller, shorter races that we'll be applying for these ones. So
yeah. So just like our series races, you're going to be requiring the mask at the start and the finish when you can't socially distance yourself from people. You know, we're asking spectators to stay home or not come to the race, and we're not going to have an award ceremony after the race, similar to what we've done with our series races. But what we will have is an award tent. So if you have finished and once the results are in, you can go over to the award tent, pick up your award, and you can get a picture. And that way, you know, people don't have to wait around all day for their award ceremony to start. And it limits people crowding around for an award ceremony. So there will still be some water stops, but we are encouraging everyone to bring their own hydration, whether it's a handheld bottle or, you know, a hydration pack or whatever. You have options, and that way you can carry whatever you want, you know, whether it's Gatorade, Scratch, Dune, and so on. So we're looking forward to it. And we will have some snacks after the run and some free beer by Dirty Ore, which is local to Cocoa Village area. And they always have some awesome beer. I know last year I think it was Red Carpet, they had a sour beer, which I got to have a taste of, which was pretty good. So we're looking forward to that again.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I love movies. I love Hollywood. I love glamour. I love all of it. So I always like seeing everyone's costumes. And I'm just thinking right now, I need to get my costume ready too. But I have one in mind.
I was going to say the one thing, you know, there's a great feature of this race that I forgot to mention is that finish line, that red carpet finish line. That's why it is called Red Carpet Run. The finish is a really long red carpet that we are so happy to pull out every year. That thing weighs a ton. There's probably like 3 or 4 people that have to carry the finish line red carpet each year to put it in place. And I know last year we joked about it, but I was trying to sweep off the red carpet last year with one of those push brooms, and I can't wait to do it again. So looking forward to that.
Again, I don't think anyone can do it quite the way that you did, John. That's your job now, forever and ever.
We'll have to grab a video this year around for social.
Right. We'll have to ask Lauren like her favorite movies and things like that when she's on later. But what about you guys? Like, what is your favorite movie? Maybe not your favorite movie of all time, but like if it's on, you will just pick up wherever it's at and watch it, or you'll stop what you're doing and turn it on.
Mine is probably the first Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that movie came out like maybe 2002, 2003. And I'm pretty sure like 3 years in a row, I was Jack Sparrow for Halloween after that. But I could probably quote that whole movie to you. And I think if I was watching it, if it came on TV and I was watching it with commercials, I'd probably just stop it, grab my DVD and just start it up from there. So, It's
a good one. Mine's The Wedding Singer. I love that movie. Every part, every song, every line, every character. It's just a fun movie. And I can start it anywhere and just keep watching it, or watch a scene while I'm doing something else and leave the room and come back. And that's probably my favorite go-to. What about you, Pete?
I think there's a lot that fall into that category for me. Seems like Star Wars is on a lot more than it used to be on regular TV. But so anytime I see one of those, any of the 3, 4, 5, or the latest 3, I won't tune in for the prequels. But that and probably Wedding Crashers, I'll stop and watch too. Except sometimes on if it's on TBS or something like that, the edited versions just take a little bit away. So
it's not as good that way.
Yeah,
definitely not. Yeah, that makes sense. And what about favorite movie snack? What about you, John?
Popcorn, 100%.
But what else? I mean, popcorn, of course. What else? Like, is there like a candy, a soda? Like what?
Yeah, I mean, it was usually popcorn and soda was the go-to. I was never really a candy fan at the movies. I don't know why. Just the giant boxes of overpriced candy didn't do it for me. But popcorn and soda was always a must.
That's good. I love popcorn. Yes, absolutely. And peanut M&Ms. That's just my like candy Achilles heel. Besides Skittles, Skittles are just evil. Like, I can't even touch Skittles. It's a problem. But peanut M&Ms I can enjoy on occasion and be okay. So definitely that would be mine. What about you, Pete?
I'm here to wave the flag for Team Twizzler. Can't go wrong with Twizzlers.
Twizzlers are good.
Yeah.
Do you like pull and peel, or do you like regular Twizzlers?
I'm an original kind of guy.
Originals. Okay. Yeah. To keep that in mind for you guys. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and I love this race. So if you haven't signed up yet, there is still time, as John said, and you're definitely going to want to. It's going to be a lot of fun that day. So, all right. So we had a race, red carpet coming up, go see Gecko after that. But in the meantime, the store is always open. Not always open, but
feels like it.
Most days.
You guys are always there, basically. So what's been going on in the store? What are some things we have that we can tell listeners about?
Got a couple new shoes that John's going to tell you about, and I'm going to be the props department as I'm here recording in the store.
Are you going to be like the Price is Right model?
That's right. I can do that.
That's what you'll do. Okay.
And in some cases, the price is right.
Yeah.
So, all right, John, take it away.
Yeah, let's start with the Elite. Start with the fastest shoe to ever hit our store shelves. So this is the Brooks Hyperion Elite 2. Funny enough, the first version came out earlier this year in February, right around the time that I was at the trials. Brooks started selling it then. But funny enough, their very, very elite athletes were actually already wearing version 2 at the trials. So it's here. It is in the store. It is a unisex sizing shoe. So ladies, you're going to have to grab your men's equivalent size, basically. It is the same foam as the Hyperion Tempo. It's going to be a very light nitrogen-infused foam called DNA Flash. And you're going to have a little bit more of it. And you're going to have a carbon fiber plate in the shoe also. So it's going to have a bit more toe spring to it. I tried it out on the treadmill. I thought it felt really nice and springy. And I would say it feels a little bit more stable than what you would experience in a Nike Vaporfly. The heel is going to be a little bit wider compared to what a Vaporfly is. So it's going to give you a little bit more stability under the foot, which is great for that marathon distance. When you are running those 26.2 miles, your gait is going to, start to collapse. Not like you collapse, but yeah, I mean, you might feel like collapsing, but your form's going to break down over those 26.2 miles. So this is going to give you a little bit more stability, which would be nice. Let's go to the Bondi 7. So the Bondi, I would say it's probably one of our top 3 most popular shoes in the store. It's definitely in the top 5. So the newest update from Hoka, you're going to have a little bit of a softer foam on the inside of the shoe. This is a memory foam. This is comfort cushion. This is riding in style Cadillac, baby.
I had to back up because the shoe's so big.
Yeah.
To get it in the screen.
I love this shoe. I'm in love with this shoe. Big, giant, cushy clown shoe. That's the shoe for me.
It is a comfortable shoe. There is no doubt about it. We're seeing even a lot of podiatrists telling people come in and you can get a Bondi, and Hoka's actually done a lot of work with podiatrists, kind of getting that certification up to spec. It also comes in a slip resistant leather version if that is your style. So more cushion, softer ride, Bondi 7. On the stability side, the New Balance 860 version 11. We just got these a few days ago, actually. Newest update from Hoka, we get the Fresh Foam X, which is their softest, most responsive cushioning. And you're going to see that nice heel, the Ultra heel there. To me, it feels a lot better fit than version 10 did. The version 10 just never really held my heel that well. This seems to give a nice heel lockdown, and it's a nice kind of like slimmer fit. It doesn't feel too wide to me. It's not too bulky, holds your foot well, and you're going to have that medial stability with a dual density post right there.
Okay.
So in other options, we got a lot of great apparel options in the store right now. And actually, we are doing a 15% off special on apparel if you buy shoes. So we've got new apparel from Wazelle, from Brooks, from Under Armour. The Under Armour, get some new materials, IsoChill being one thing that's really interesting, which is actually they did some third-party testing and found that it was actually able to improve your VO2 max. It is going to have a cooling effect against your skin, so it's going to help you feel a little bit cooler during your run, which help you stay cool, run faster, breathe better. And another one on the guy's side, there's a short sleeve that has a Gore-Tex woven threads into it, which are going to help with the breathability of the fabric a little bit. So really, really great options. Some cool colors too, like that men's Gore-Tex. I don't know, it's kind of a red, right? Like a rusty red,
maroon, yeah,
maroonish, yeah. And then the Brooks stuff from ladies. I thought it looked red. Tracy told me it was orange. The official name is, what was it? Rosewood?
Rosewood.
Yeah. So we'll go with Rosewood since we didn't ever say who was right. So some ladies Brooks stuff in Rosewood. So you got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the ones you posted on stories. They look awesome. And anything that's going to keep us all cooler while we're out trying to run. We've still got a decent amount of this warm weather left, unfortunately for us.
That's the name of the game.
I definitely need to come in and pick up a few things myself. Thank you for that wonderful demonstration, Pete. I feel like if anyone sees that and isn't immediately rushing out to buy those beautiful shoes, I don't know what to say. I don't know what else we can do for them. That was such a wonderful demonstration. But
also, new item, most comfortable face mask we can find from Features. We love their socks, and they're doing face masks now. So we have them in the store. Small, medium size, and large XL, which is most adults. For $15, super comfortable face mask. It's got the little nose bridge as well, and very nice. It's a poly blend, so if you're having to be outside and sweating and you still need to wear a mask, then it's a good option for you. I've been wearing it in the store a lot.
I have to pick that up before red carpet and go to Echo. That sounds like a really good one. Well, I believe Lauren is getting ready to dial in. So why don't we check in with her and see if she's ready to join us. Well, welcome back, listeners. Dr. Lauren Hodges is here, and we're so happy to have her. To our loyal listeners, you may remember that she was our special guest back in February before everything kind of went down with coronavirus. And back then, she gave us some wonderful tips about goal setting and a goal setting mentality, and just in general, how to reduce stress and be motivated, which was great. And I know I needed that message many times these last few months. So today she's back with us, and we're going to do a little more talking about being home, working at home, kids at home, and just really what's happening in the present. And Dr. Lauren Hodges is a corporate performance and well-being coach. I know she knows a lot more about nutrition, wellness, and fitness than the average person, and practices what she preaches in her garage gym, which I haven't crashed just yet, but maybe post-COVID, I'll come knocking on your garage door. Lauren, teach me a few tricks. So welcome back to the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. I know that your kids are home with you, and we'll talk a little more about that they're e-learning. So you're a working mom at home, and both of your kids are there. So you're technology expert, teacher, all these things, plus your dog Eli never leaves you alone. So I think that you are definitely a qualified person to take some advice from today. So thanks again. Yeah. But I think, Pete, you wanted to kick it off.
I just wanted to add that some of your Instagram workout videos, I definitely wouldn't be able to keep up. So I like how you write it on the mirror. So I kind of take note of some of the things you're doing. I'm like, I mean, maybe John would be able to keep up now that he's a CrossFit expert, but me not so much.
Well, I would chase you in the runs, so we can call it even, right?
Fair enough. Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that, you were one of the last people that we recorded with on site before everything kind of happened. And I find it interesting that, we're doing all the socially distanced, and we're doing a lot of Zooms, even in the store. We do Zoom appointments, and with some of our vendors, we do Zoom meetings where we used to get together. You and Katie, kind of working remotely, of doing various things, you guys were kind of ahead of the curve. So I wonder, I'm sure this hasn't been easy, but I wonder if you kind of already knew what was coming as far as, what it's like to be a remote worker, and how that kind of prepared you or lured you into a sense of security for what's happened over the last 6 months.
Definitely. I definitely think it did. And I can compare, my feelings and experiences with some of my friends who were in office and at home, and it is a stark difference. And I know Katie can relate, but you kind of learn an innate sense of time and energy management just living or working at home. And, you've got laundry, cleaning, cooking, you could be doing all these little things. It is definitely a stark difference to have a not quiet home anymore with children at home. So we had to learn some boundaries. I have a 9 and 11-year-old boy. So without school, they were sort of loud and all over the place, very messy, as you can imagine. So I had to learn that part again, but I do think we had a distinct advantage. I feel very thankful that I had that experience anyway of working from home before this all happened, because I think it would have been a little bit more stress for me. My husband works at the hospital in Orlando, and he never did get to work from home though. So I didn't have to experience like Katie does, the co-working at home. I was very actually thankful for that. I'm sad that he couldn't be at home with us, but I do think it would have been a little bit of an added stress for all of us to be online and working at the same time.
Yeah, definitely back in March when it kind of just all of a sudden we had 5 e-learners and Brant and I were both there working. It was tricky. There were bandwidth problems. We didn't have enough devices because they couldn't, sometimes when they did homework, they would use our work computers, and I have 3 computers and Brant has 2, I think, but that's 5 and there's 7 of us. So it was, it was a lot, but you know, to your point, the curve for the actual work wasn't that steep for me. You know,
Yeah.
so the thing that changed though, and I don't know if this happened to you, Lauren, I used to have to always be on a lot of calls before COVID, like team calls, content calls. Nobody wanted to be on video. And that was great. Like I'd get on in my pajamas, or after I worked out, you know, I wouldn't shower. I just be like, yeah, I'm getting on a call now. Suddenly everyone wanted to be on Zoom all the time. Like the people at the corporations were like, oh, well, we got to see each other face to face. So that was a big change for me, because I'm like, I got to actually like be ready for all these meetings. You know, I can't just skate by.
Hour.
Yeah, like now, you know, Lauren and I were texting this morning. She's like, it's audio, right? I'm like, no, it's video. She's like, okay. I'm like, I'm gonna wear a little makeup because I'm kind of vain. And she's like, it's okay, me too. You know, so we kind of had like this whole like back and forth. But I check with people. I'm like, is it audio only or video? They're probably like, what does it matter? Well, it does matter, but I don't know. That was a big adjustment for me.
That was also a big difference for me. A lot of my work, all of my travel was obviously canceled. So in the first month or so, there's a lot of uncertainty in financial uncertainty and logistical uncertainty. Are we going to reschedule? Are we not? That thankfully, I'm one of the lucky ones that a lot of my work, the nature of my work shifted. A lot of people suddenly needed webinars and private coaching calls on how to manage all this, how to manage the stress, how to manage teams that were in crisis. So yes, so many video calls, and video calls are interesting when you have children at home. Just to give you one funny example, my 9-year-old thought that he was off camera when he was army crawling behind me on the tile in his underwear when I had a 200-person webinar that I was leading. And you know, I just see him in the background just crawling across the floor in his underwear. And you know, what do you do in those situations?
Just let it go.
Go for it. Yeah.
Later for being in behind me when I told him to stay in his room. But you know, little stuff like that is definitely an adjustment. And I do agree, Katie, it's a little bit more of a degree of fatigue to be on video all the time now, where I used to be able to be on my Peloton having a coaching call. Now it's a little bit different with that face-to-face.
Definitely. It's harder.
Yeah.
But what have you found? So, I mean, you have worked from home for a while. So you said, you know, a lot of people shifted to this suddenly, right? Like we're used to this, but this was new for some people. What tips have you been giving out for working at home now and being successful?
The same tips I was giving before, just more of an emphasis on being intentional about taking a lot of breaks. Not only are we facing we're facing a new level of stress right now that we haven't before, and all of us, and a degree of uncertainty that a lot of people have trouble managing, especially those high performing go-getters. When you give them you throw their locus of control off, it causes a lot of stress, and you know, like you said, adjustment to technology and kids at home. And so it's the same principles of creating recovery and integrating that into your day. It's just, I'm trying to be a little bit more, I'm trying to emphasize more the importance of that intentionality behind it and planning ahead. I think that it's easy to say you're going to stop and meditate for 5 minutes, but when work catches up with you and calls that are back to back and video calls, I feel like it's more important than ever for us to get on our calendars and literally pencil recovery into your day. I don't know how people manage by going full steam ahead. I also give people the analogy that you should treat your workday like a series of sprints and recoveries, not a marathon. That should be good, you know, analogy for the runners in this group, which is all of you. But, you know, a marathon is something where you don't go full force. You have to temper your pace and your intensity to get through because of the duration. If you also don't want to treat your workday like a full sprint for 8 hours, because what's going to happen to you, you're going to fatigue quickly, and your capacity is going to be significantly impacted by the increasing demands we're all facing right now. So I just suggest, give yourself your full and best for a little while, pencil in the recovery, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, even spiritual, just getting back to the big, sense of why and meaning and connecting back with your children or your family, et cetera. So I think that's the primary message I'm trying to send right now to my clients is when, how specific, get specific, measurable, and observable about your recovery and rest time right now, because you really need it. And also create a very clear distinction and boundary between work and home, like declare an end to your workday and do something to declare it, whether it's change into some comfortable clothes, go for a quick walk, or put your phone in your drawer in your kitchen to signify that I know, like what a concept to say, I'm not going to answer any more emails or calls after XYZ. I've been trying to do that. I'm not so great at it, but I'm trying to leave my phone in the car when I take my children to their practices or the skate park or whatnot, just to declare that end to the workday. So that's another thing I've been trying to push out there for my clients.
That's really hard. And however long I work from home, especially when my kids were younger, because it wasn't a full work day, it would be like an hour here, an hour there. So it really did all blend, and I'd be working after bedtime and at 4 a.m. and all day on Saturday, because I was parenting full force those other times. So like you, now that I have this block of time that I don't have any children home, I'm really trying to focus on that. So like when they're home at 3, I put my phone up, I close my computer, unless I have a scheduled call or something, but I'm trying really hard to contain that in those hours. So like when they walk in the door, it's not like, I'm on a call, it's like, hi, you're home, I'm here, I'm available, that sort of thing, even if that means I have to log in later on, for half an hour, 45 minutes, like after dinner when they're doing their homework, trying to find that cutoff, like you said, where I'm not standing there with the phone in my hand or peeking at my computer screen, but I'm like actually a mom in that moment, but it's easier said than done, that's for sure. But I think that's very good advice.
Well, and you bring up a good point that I should definitely throw out. So I appreciate you saying that, is there's a degree of grace and expectation setting that should come with this new way we're working. And that is, sometimes you are going to have to stop in the middle of the day and attend to your children or whatnot. And it's okay to log back in sometimes if you have to get stuff done. If you're taking half an hour break for technical issues for your child, and I have to also be intentional about giving myself a little bit of grace if I have to pop back on after they're in bed and finish up a PowerPoint. But I also am very clear on my own boundaries that I won't cross. So I won't cross foregoing sleep, because I'm not very fun without that sleep. And I won't, another non-negotiable is exercise for me, because that's my outlet for mental health. So, it's this dance we're all playing right now between forgive yourself, give yourself grace that you might not even follow your own rules, be intentional about taking breaks, declare an end to the workday. But sometimes, yes, and sometimes you have to, bend a little bit, and that's okay too. There's not a way we should all be doing. There's no formula, for all of us right now.
One thing you talked about in the last time we had you on, that I've been trying to do, and I feel like it really had kind of helped, was, I don't remember if I have the time frame right, but I think you said like every 2 hours to take a little break.
Yeah.
So kind of talking about that sprint versus, long distance running. So, just even if I'm technically still working, so I'll just get up and walk around the store and see if anything's out of place. Move a hanger here, or like if some tag fell off or something, just walk around the store. And it's, it's a little bit of a break, at least getting away from the desk and kind of, putting a stopping point to what I was doing and doing that recovery period that you talked about. One thing, the other thing I thought was, I saw on your Instagram not too long ago that I thought was interesting was, I think you said you were planning to go out for a 4-mile run, and it turned out to be a 4-mile walk because you just needed to talk and you just needed that escape more than you needed the workout of running. And I think a lot of us probably could do that more, and should do that more maybe sometimes, where you just need that connection with your running partner or whatever you're doing rather than the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I remember that day clearly. There was just a whole lot of anxiety with the first couple of weeks of school, technical issues, Katie, like you said, some of the devices we thought would work wouldn't, and comical errors that weren't so comical at the time. But yeah, I think that I think that takes to listening to your body and being really kind of self-aware and in tune, that being aware of your emotions in the moment and what prescription of exercise or recovery you might need. And there's been certainly days that I've woken up at 5:30 to go run or lift, and I said, you know what, like, this isn't what I need. And so I would actually just go and read or meditate or just lay in the gym, and my garage gym, just with some headphones, just to be quiet. And I think I'm thankful that I've been in this, kind of steeped in this industry and practice for a while, that I did become pretty in tune with my body and my needs and my emotions. So I do think it's smart practice to not always hold again expectations of what you should be doing right now. That being said, of course, there could be patterns of consistently not working out. And I think if you see those patterns, then maybe you want to do a little bit of reflection on, what's the story I'm telling myself? Is it serving me well? Is it not? Because exercise certainly is one of those incredibly healing, cathartic, practices that you should be putting into play right now in whatever format you could. So, again, with the balance and the dance that we're trying to play here.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going along with the work from home tips, what about school from home? Like, is there any wisdom you can share with the other parents out there?
The first week was an adjustment. I'm sure all the parents who are with me on the e-learning, that was an adjustment, big time. Like you said, I was giving my work computer up for a little of that time, and we had a couple of mishaps, a little tears. So a lot of forgiveness on both. I was saying I'm sorry to my boys, and they were saying it to me. But I think that, let me put this out there first. We're so, so lucky and just very blessed to be able to afford different devices, and I'm home, and I don't have to manage getting home and making sure they did all their work and all that stuff. So that being said, I think one of the best things that the kids and I have done is we get up like we're going to school, we make lunches, in the morning, and they know my schedule. I'm really open with them about, I have a webinar here and I have these video calls. And so I have a little bit of a do not disturb, window, and they do as well. And I mean, that's the way we've been getting by. I wouldn't say it's thriving because they don't exactly love e-learning, but they miss their friends, of course. But yeah.
I've seen Jake over at the bike rack a couple times at Surfside. And I'm like, aren't you? And I think he said, like, e-learning gets out at 2:10 on Wednesdays. So I just rode my skateboard over or whatever. And he's like from a distance, like waving to all his friends. It's so sweet.
He does. And it's hard. You never know if you made the right decision. We were just trying to get a consistent learning environment because he's all over the place. He's so all over the place. So yeah, it is. It's tough. And we also make sure that their recovery breaks for their school are truly getting up and away from those screens. So they walk the dogs. I make them do PE, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm not just letting them kind of go to the TV and turn it on and sit on another screen. And I think that's helping with a little bit of that, managing that, bustled up energy for all of us.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah, and one other thing I saw, maybe you can give us a little insight to a course that you developed, was featured in People magazine for Accenture. Tell me about that.
That was a very, very incredible project that I was very lucky to be a part of in 2019, all of 2019. There was a partnership between Thrive Global, it's Ariana Huffington's company, it's a corporate wellness company, and Stanford Medicine and Accenture. And they sort of joined forces, and some really, really interesting research came out of Stanford Medicine recently on mental health, specifically depression and anxiety. And to make a very long story short, they were able to identify a very distinct detectable biology for depression and anxiety. So right now we kind of treat depression as a one size fits all. And there's a incredibly brilliant neuroscientist by the name of Leanne Williams at Stanford who did some fMRI imaging of different brains of depressed people and found out that it shows up differently for everyone. She actually was able to identify 8 distinct, what she called biotypes. And what she also found out was they're essentially stuck neural pathways or thought patterns or emotion patterns that were almost hijacked and stuck where they couldn't get unstuck. And they needed intervention, either medically, chemically, or through some sort of professional treatment. What she also found out, which is where we came in, was that if you can identify those patterns ahead of time upstream, you can take action on them. And a lot of these principles that we're talking about right now, these oscillation strategies, recovery, self-awareness, listening to your emotions, listening to your thoughts, trying to identify patterns, all of those strategies were sort of accumulated and integrated into a course called Thriving Mind. And Accenture launched it as a digital course, 15 short videos, and they launched it in March of this year. If you imagine, March 6th. And within a couple of weeks, they had record registrations, and we were just blown away by the timeliness of this thing. But essentially, at this point, this is the most popular course in Accenture history. It's being delivered all over the world. I think something like 100,000 or more people. And that's just Accenture. There's other companies that have purchased the course through Thrive Global, and I was very lucky to be the course designer for it. So I designed the whole course, scripted, and all that stuff with the help, of course, of an incredible team there of experts. And I'm still blown away by the results of that. And I'm really honored to be a part of it. And Accenture is just one of those companies that really stands by when they say they're going to support their employees' mental health, they really mean it. And, it's cool to be a part of kind of creating those learning experiences for people. And also I learned a whole lot about mental health and well-being that I didn't know before, and was able to now integrate that into a lot of content and deliver that kind of information to our clients right now.
That's pretty cool. Congratulations again on that.
Wow. Now, if like an average person wanted to take the course, what do you have to do to take it? Where's it at?
So unfortunately, it is commercial.
Okay.
I do believe that at some point, Thrive Global will consider, opening it up to the public. But at the moment, I think companies have to purchase that for you. But there is a lot of great research out there that is very similar to it. And a lot of that content is on a lot of different companies that I've been a part of. So happy to connect you with some of that information and research. Absolutely. It's not the exact same course, but really similar information and content.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hope you were able to enjoy a Tito's and soda after you were done.
Many of them since this quarantine started.
Same.
Yes.
Since last time. Yeah. Earlier in the show, we were talking about our upcoming red carpet run on October 4th. And a lot of people come dressed up, and we have an actual red carpet at the finish line. And it's really awesome. In years past, we've done like movie concessions and things like that. This year might be a little different on that front, but it's a lot of fun. I love movies and glamour and Hollywood and all that. So I love this event. But we all listed our like go-to movie earlier, not necessarily our favorite movie, but like the movie that when it's on, you watch it every time, or every line, or whatever it may be. So we're curious what that would be for you.
So this is not very mature of me, but Spaceballs, I could give you every single line in the movie Spaceballs, probably Tommy Boy as well. And I'm actually a really big fan of Wes Anderson and all of his films, more for the artsy fartsy side of me. But I love all of his stuff, like Royal Tenenbaums and Rushmore and all those. So I don't know. Spaceballs is just one of those things that I'll just sit and watch anytime to get a good.
It's always funny. Never doesn't get funny. What about movie snack? If you have a snack at a movie.
And sour worms. I'm a big sour worm fan. Yeah. And pop. I mean, I don't really dig movie popcorn. It gives me a stomach ache, but I'll smuggle in my own.
Nice. And John handles a lot of the social content and the posting for the race. So in that process, he does a lot of trivia research and things like that. So we were talking before the call today about some of that, and he told a pretty cool story about a pretty popular movie. So John, would you like to share it with listeners?
Sure. And Pete, I think I've already shared this one with you. It was one I was trying to figure out how to word into a Facebook question that just didn't really work that well. But for the film Saving Private Ryan, a lot of the main characters actually went into a real kind of 10-day boot camp with former U.S. Marine Corps Captain Dale Dye. So this was Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore, Edward Burns, Jeremy Davies, Vin Diesel, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, and Adam Goldberg all went through this boot camp. And I think they said it rained most all of the boot camp. But they had them doing different gun drills, and they were learning close combat and maneuvers and tactics and everything World War II era military lingo and hand signals to really prep them for this role, just to make sure that the movie was, realistic and that they were, portraying these characters accurately. But one thing that I found interesting was that one of the main characters was not required to go to this boot camp. In fact, they even let him stay in a hotel, and, he was being prepared meals and everything, where the rest of these guys were, sleeping in tents, eating MREs. And I think by day 2, they even wanted to quit. But Tom Hanks talked them into staying and said, hey, we need to do this for this role and, portray these guys accurately. But the movie's titular character, Private Ryan, played by Matt Damon, did not go to this boot camp to kind of create resentment by the other characters for his character, because the whole movie they're going through all these war zones and battles to save Private Ryan, which is somewhat based on a true story where his brothers died in action, and they wanted to go and save this one soldier because he was the only son left in his family. So just a little silly piece of trivia, but I thought it was pretty interesting to see what some of these actors went through to portray this role. So,
wow.
What do you think about the mental training on that one? What's your assessment of that plan?
Super cool. I love it.
I said it's like method directing. You know how there's method acting, but like the director's like, I want them to hate him in real life. So here's what I'm going to do.
I wonder how long it took him to not hate him after filming.
And it's funny that it was Matt Damon because, right, he went on to do like Born Identity and all these films where he's just like cut. It's like, that's funny to like think like all these guys going through boot camp and then Matt Damon's just like hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. And there will be more movie trivia on the social pages for the Red Carpet Run and at the event, of course. Yeah. And hopefully we will see you listeners out there. We'll be there. The 3 of us will be there. Myself and John and Pete will be there nice and early, possibly in costume. Are you guys wearing costumes, or is this just like the girls are dressing up? John, you should bring John Sparrow or Jack Sparrow back. Jack Sparrow.
I'd have to reassemble that costume since it was something I was using in like 7th grade. Mm-hmm. I think I've grown a little bit since then, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I'll have to see what I can do. But Lauren, thank you again for joining us. And can you remind our listeners where they can follow you on social, or if they want to get in contact with you or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. On Instagram, it's at Dr. Lauren Hodges, Lauren. And I also have another business at Performance on Purpose, and that also is on Instagram. And you can find me on LinkedIn, same thing, at Lauren Hodges. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, thank you for the tips. And as you heard, we took some of your tips from last time. So certainly the oscillating away from work and creating the end to the workday, that's definitely what I'm going to take with me today and work a little harder on at home. So thanks again. And thanks, John and Pete. It's always good to see you since I don't see you that much anymore. And you listeners will hopefully see you out at the red carpet run and at the Ghostly Gecko after that. And we'll be back in October with another episode of Run Brevard. In the meantime, follow Run Brevard at Run Brevard on Twitter and Instagram. And you can join our Run Brevard group on Running Zone's Facebook page. And you can listen to past episodes at runbrevard.com. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.